Alright, we're back. Sorry guys, apologies, we had a bit of a technical problem there.
Vraag ons nou reg is.
Are we the right way around now?
Oudette,
Daar's nog niemand nie.
Brendaatjie,
Is ons die regte way around? Okay, people gaan nou terugkom. The CPA deal is watching. Right.
daar kry jy iets.
Dis CPA. Okay, Brenda, is ons die regte way around now? Okay, we've got 2 people watching. Yes, okay, NBS, right. Let's just wait for some more people to join. Daar's daar nog een by.
As kan ek so lank praat terwyl jy wag vir
Wat
mense om op te kom. Brendaatjie, en vertel hierdie meisie mos nou vir ons, sy kan nie kook nie. En ons besluit, een aand maak ek kos en een aand maak sy kos. Maar laat ek vir jou sê, sy hang uit. Sy kan baie lekker kook, hoor.
Okay, so let's start. About 2 months ago, me and Odette van Sale from Vintage Connection did a bodice out of air drying clay using redesigned molds and IOD molds. Now, she's got the whole range of molds, so you're not going to find them easily in the country. But what we managed to do is maybe showing you some different ideas as to how you can work your air drying clay. Something I must just mention up front is the air drying clay is not a substitute for embellishments. Embellishments you will still use and you will still apply it on your normal pieces. So air drying clay is not a substitute for this. You'll also find that air drying clay cracks, so it's not going to be perfect for your furniture, but you can use the air drying clay around boxes and things like that. So I'm just going to show you the bodice we did, I think it is about 2 months ago. This was done with air drying clay.
Oh, shoot.
So it's a ceramic bodice.
Awesome.
And the clay we did was air drying clay.
Hy staan uitgaan by die deur.
So it looks like this. We put a little dress on for her. Okay. So what we're going to do is try and replicate something like that. Now, at the moment, it's difficult finding air drying clay. I was out buying some essential goods yesterday and I managed to find some Dala air drying clay. Like Anthony.
Sy uit.
And unfortunately, this is not white. This is the terracotta color. So I have no idea if it is going to paint white or light color. So we're going to test this together. So this is what I've got. I also managed to find a recipe for making your own air drying clay if you can't get to a store. Sepia has just posted that recipe if you want to try it at home. Also have no idea how it works. I've just seen the recipe, so you guys might want to have a look at the recipe. So I want to show you what I was busy with until about a month ago. This is a famous hat box, everybody's favorite. And I actually managed to get 2 molds at a P&A. And I started doing some molding on the lid of this box. Just bear in mind that it does have a water portion to it. So it tends to do this. You'll see it's actually dipping in. And when it dries, you can actually see the cracks. Hoping you guys can see. So that's why I say the air drying clay will never replace your embellishments. It's not the same product. So please just bear that in mind. You can't use this on your furniture and expect it to look like this and not cracked. So
Okay.
these are the normal embellishments. It's still used on furniture. It's not going to replace this. The clay we are using purely to decorate around edges like that. Okay. And there is a recipe that Sepia has posted for us. So if you guys want to try it at home, you're welcome to. So what are we going to use more? This is your clay. So, things that I've used in the meantime. Where's these ones? These Cuttlebug folder die cut thingies. They work perfect for this clay as well. We've got a couple of them. I think there's 3 of them. There's one. So you can use that. You can also use stamps that you use for your scrapbooking. And I've got these nice houses I want to try and make some fridge magnets from. The correct molds are these type of molds. I want to actually show you close by. You are going to struggle to find these in South Africa.
And these chocolate molds?
Yes, I'll show them that now. So yeah, if you buy it, they are very expensive. I think this one I bought at C&A, and I paid 300 Rand for it, so it is quite expensive. And this is another stamp that I've got. It's got all these measurements. So I'm going to try this as well. And then all the cake tunnies or chocolate tunnies, they've got these chocolate molds. You can buy them regularly at any good baking shop. This one has got smaller flowers. These are flowers. And these 2 are just flowers.
We used to make a lot of chocolates when you were small, eh?
For instance, I've used this one, this mold. I've used on the air drying clay. Okay, and then when I was at Hobby X, I found crystal candy. This is a bas relief silicone mold. Here's another one. So we're going to try them. I'm not sure if they're going to work. There's a flower. So let's see if it works. So what you need to do is you need to decide on the mold that you are going to be using. Mold, what are you going to use? And you need to have a couple of tools. I'll show you what I've got. Just some small brushes. I've got this little stocky things. I think some of you have metal embossing or pewter sticks. You can use that too. I've got an old tile grouter, a steel ruler. This is another mold that I've got. And then you'll be using your rolling pin. So julle gaan julle koekrollers nodig hê. And you'll be using some maizena. Maizena is another word for cornstarch, cornflour. Mielieblom. So what you want to do is use your brush.
Ek gaan hierdie enetjie vat, hy's mooi.
Okay. put some corn flour in a little lid like this. You then open your mold. And then what you want to do is, once you've got it out, you need to take your brush and you dip it in your cornstarch or corn flour, and you actually rub your whole mold with your corn flour. This is to help that the clay actually doesn't stick to your mold. Now you can't use spray and cook because it's going to make it oily. Okay.
Somebody has learned to use spray and cook this week.
So it should look something like that. Now, as I mentioned before, we've got the only color we could find was the terracotta air drying clay from Dala. But there is a recipe on the comments where you can make your own air drying clay as well. Comes in a little packet like this. Remember, it's air drying clay, so you need to take off a piece and close it up again, otherwise it's going to dry out. So now I'm just going to use a spoon.
Must we not just use the one lot, okay? Instead of opening two now.
So this is my clay. I need to work it so that I can put it into my mold. I don't think I can. It's quite soft, so there's not much work needed. So what I want to do is I make a little ball like this, and I put it inside my mold, and I start pressing it.
I thought we were going to cook roll.
Jy gaan koekrol na die tyd vir bo op dat hy onder glad is. So you make sure that the clay is completely pressed into your shape. And because Mom's insisting we're going to cook roll it. So we're just going to roll it with the rolling pin to smooth it out at the bottom. If you see there is, like there's too much clay on the edge, you can just take it away with your scraper or your ruler, whatever you have. So, see? Ja, Mama, nou nie daai edges afval met maar se ruler.
Die koekroller gaan nooit weer dieselfde wees nie.
You can wash. It's washable. So it should look something like that. Okay. So now comes the unmolding, and this is where it can get quite tricky, because you need to press and pull at the same time. Here we go. It's a bit wonky. See, there's actually a piece that came out on the side. What's that? Alright.
Ek was nooit goed met koekies, modderkoekies nie.
If you're not happy with it, like I'm not happy because there's a piece left there, I'll make my clay into a ball again. I actually take that piece out. This is where these little tools come in handy.
Ek dink nogal ek kan Oudette se assistent word.
Dink maar so.
Ek kan mooi like myne.
Oh my soul! Look at that, you're a pro. Let's show them. That looks so nice. Oudette? Someone's
Oudette?
applying as a
As jy iemand
assistant. So if you're now happy with this, it will go outside in the air or in the sun.
Ek dink dit lag lekker vir ons.
Is Ma happy met die een?
Ja, hy's pretty.
I'll put it outside for you. Now the trick is going to be to see if you can actually paint it a light color. So, do you want to do next one? Which one do you want to do? This one I want to do over. Okay, so here we go again.
Ek weet nie eens wat hierdie is op nog nie. Kom ons vat
Dit
hierdie
is vir die klei gebouw.
goed.
Okay, so I dust it again, maybe more towards the edges this time.
Wat ek kan doen jy hierdie?
Here we go. Take my ball. We did say, Ma, you're welcome to join her, but she works with resin, she doesn't work with clay. Now resin, it's a different story.
I'm sure I read what you
Okay, so what have you been up to, ladies? Have you been busy crafting? Have you been adhering to your lockdown regulations? By this week, all the craft rooms should have been sorted out already. So, thank you for participating in the challenge last week. The challenge for this week is going to be a living room. So it's the living room challenge. You need to select something out of your living room that you want to remake or redo. Even if it's just tying a ribbon around something, if you don't have paint, just redo something, take a nice pic and post it on the page. That way we share with everyone our ideas. Okay, so I'm going to try again. I'm hoping I'm going to do it right this time. Aha! We have success.
This is not so easy getting this one off.
Because that one's much flatter. Okay, so this one came out nice now. And now I'll just put it outside and let it dry.
And how quickly does it dry? Sorry?
If they sun quite quickly. So let's just see. Okay, it says 24 hours and it's completely firm. What I want to do now is I actually wanted to show you how to use these Chalkpaint dies. This is musical nuts. Someone is busy fixing up your late mom's lamp. Who was that? Sepia?
Tannie deed.
Tannie deed.
Wat's
Eens het gras geslaan.
Oh, you mowed the lawn. Lekker deed. Alright, so now remember these cutting dies on the one side it's got raised and on the other side is the indent. So what I want to do now is, of course, first dust with my corn flour. This just helps the clay get out easily. And press it close. Rub on the other side. Okay. Tap down the axis. Now, because that is such a flat shape, I'm actually going to roll it out with my rolling pin first to get a flat portion. So, it should look something like that now. So now I'm going to put it in my die.
How's this one?
You're very creative, Ma. You see, I've put it in my die. Clay's in the middle. And I'm going to take my rolling pin and just roll over it. Now let's try and unmold this together. Alright, let's see. Hold thumb, see how it goes. So, and then to take it off from this side, you need a bit of patience. Maybe a prayer or two. Oh, it doesn't come off so easily, does it?
Did you powder enough with it?
I did.
Okay.
Okay, give it to me. Don't worry. Alright, let's put it down this way and try and offload it. The clay I used for the hat box was the white dust clay. There we go, there we go. Alright, just a bit of patience. I'm just going to use this piece just so that you can see. Alright. So you'll see the musical notes on that. So now the question is, when do I apply the clay to my box? So, maybe I should take the box. So here's my hat box. The clay is still wet. So now I can actually layer the clay over
Net 'n bietjie op. Jy sien jou box op.
over the piece where I want it. And before I actually stick it together, I take off the piece I don't want. So now you can mold it against something that's already pre-existing on your item. So that when you take these pieces off, it should be fitting snug into that little spot. I'll just show you the top. And the pieces that you don't use actually goes back into your roll and you can use them again. So then, and you can now mold it into those little gaps. Just remember that when the clay dries, it actually does shrink a little bit. But, I mean, if you're planning to paint over it afterwards, it's not going to make such a big difference. And you need patience. So I just want to show you what I did. So you see how I molded that? That it actually fits into where the leaf stopped. And remember, the clay is still wet. I just want to put this piece down here. So now I've cut my piece of clay. It goes nice into the spot where I wanted it. Now I take it off, just lift it a bit, take it off, and then you can glue it on immediately while it's still wet. Hello Mimpy, we're playing with clay. This is just normal wood glue. I managed to find some.
Dit comes 'n groot blok.
Okay, that's okay. So and this is where it gets a bit messy. So you need to take your clay and you need to wipe your glue everywhere where you want it. And then once you've glued the whole area, you can stick it back on immediately while it's still wet. And now you can actually blend it in with the pieces on the side. or cut off the pieces that you don't want. So that is the clay molded and on your box, already glued. So as you can see, it's quite a time-consuming little job. But once it's done, it actually looks very nice.
And then you paint it like normal when it's set.
Well, that's now the trick. We need to see if we paint over the terracotta, if it's actually going to take a light color. So now, remember the other ones are drying outside in the sun. So it's air drying clay. We have posted a recipe down at the bottom for making your own home air drying clay. I have not used it, so you guys are welcome to test it. Now I want to do some stamping. Now this is a normal stamp you will use for scrapbooking. Okay, so I keep it on my plastic backing. Okay. So where the cuttle sheet, the cuttlebug sheet actually gave you a raised relief, this is going to give you a bas relief. In other words, it's going to have an indent.
You
So
need
now,
clay again.
yes, we're going to be claying the whole day. Once again, you take your corn flour, and you just do your little stamp of corn flour.
Is that full enough?
Yes, I think so. I'm only going to do a little piece. So, and then you just tap down your corn flour so you see that white. Now I take my clay and I roll it a bit just to get it a bit flatter. So this is my clay. I now need to take my stamp and press it into my clay. So not this way around, the other way around. So I take my stamp, I put it on, and I want to make sure that I get an equal spread of pressure. So I'm going to take the rolling pin again, and I'm just going to roll it on. Alright, and let's remove it together. So this is a stamp, this is a clay, taking it off, and this is what you get. So it will also give a nice effect to your box. So some is going to be raised, and some of them are going to be indented like scrapes. See? Mooi nee? So remember now I can actually use my clay already while it's still wet. And I've got this nice little spatula tool. You can use a knife, whatever you feel like. So now I just bend it along the edges of my previous mold. And the piece that I'm not going to be using, I just put back into my clay ball. Remember to keep your clay closed while you are busy working with other pieces, because it's air drying clay. It does dry out. I just want to show you. So there I've actually started. Oh, are you seeing it right? Oh, wait, let me lift it a bit. There I've started actually putting it in next to my existing mold. As I mentioned before, it does make your stuff heavier because it's like putting on plaster on top of your stuff. So just bear that in mind, whatever you do make. I wouldn't do a cardboard box or paper box because it will become too heavy. But the clay gives you the ability to actually take stuff around corners, like 90-degree corners. So it gives you that ability. And the clay does crack, so it's not a substitute for embellishments. You will still be using embellishments on your furniture as normal. It is not a substitute for embellishments. Oh, I've done a bit of a boo-boo there. Just blend it a bit. And then take that piece off. So if you like doing things that are old and vintagey, this will be perfect because it actually shows up with little cracks. The only thing we are hoping for is that we will be able to paint it with a light color paint, because that I haven't tested yet. Normally I use the white clay. This was done with the white clay, air drying clay. This is done with the terracotta clay. Alright.
I think it should paint well once it's dry.
Yes, I'm going to take this out. I want to start doing some fridge magnets. So just to recap, this is what we actually did about 2 months ago at the Vintage Connections molds. We've used their molds to do clay dry on ceramic. This is a ceramic bust. And the nice thing about this is it actually washes fairly clean, because it's just corn flour that is stuck there. Most of your clay comes off. So I've got these nice stamps, the little beach houses. I want to try and make some fridge magnets using the clay, and you can help me make some.
Now I'm rolling the balls for you.
Are you not
Ek
gonna?
sort in the rolballs.
Are you not gonna stamp?
Crunchy cookies. I'm making crunchy cookies here.
So my stamp comes like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut through the plastic and keep it on the plastic backing. Now, do we have a scissor?
Yeah.
We had one in that box, small pink one. So the front piece comes off, but the back, donkey, we've got one. The back piece, I'm actually going to cut the plastic as it is. The reason I'm doing this is so that I've got a full area I can roll with my rolling pin.
Is it the front and back of the house?
No,
Or is it two?
it's 4 different houses.
Okay.
So that's why I said you can
Yes.
help me make some.
I thought it's a back and
I just want to show them my fun beach houses. These are quite cute. This one is big enough for Brenda's family. There we go. These are also just found at a P&A, so yeah. Okay, so once again we're going to need our balletjies, those marked here. So your air drying clay ball. Ouma mul dan so goed, hoekom wil ouma dan nou nie mul nie? Okay, and I just roll out my piece of clay. This is a nice project to do with your children as well. So it can keep them busy for hours, and you don't need fancy stamps or molds for this. You can just use whatever you have. There's my piece of clay. Now I'm going to I dust my stamp with some corn flour.
Do you roll it out, you said?
Yes.
In a little long strip.
Good old fashioned corn flour. You see, we got the camera right, you can read now. So I just dust it with some corn flour. I'm not sure if these long thin pieces are going to show up. Alright. Oh, I need to roll a bit more because my stamp is a bit bigger. We've just got some normal fish and chips paper on the table, so that works fine for the molds. Okay, I'm going to cut off that top piece. Alright, so I position my stamp on my clay and I take my rolling pin and just carefully roll it into the clay. There is a air drying clay recipe under the comments. If you guys want to, just post it again, thanks. If you want to make your own air drying clay, you are welcome to use that recipe. I found it online. I haven't tested it yet, so Kom ons kook 'n little. Oh, het lijkt mooi, julle. But there's a piece that's not. Oh, that's pulled out. Okay, let's move it this way, right? Okay. Part of it didn't work. That thin piece is there. They didn't work so well. I'm just going to lift it with my ruler. Okay.
I think it's too thin.
It's too thin. Yes, this is too thin. We're going to do it over. There's the recipe of the air drying clay if you want to make your own and play with your children. And
what is it made of, your recipe?
It's met corn flour and wat is nog daarbij? I can't tell you now because it's on my phone. Baking soda and corn flour and water.
Yes.
So baking soda, corn flour and water. We're going to try the stamping again. Maybe I should turn it around this time. Okay. Kom ons rol hom weer. Maybe not as thin this time.
Yes, that's why I said we need more.
I actually need more clay. As you can see, this actually lasts you a while. We've still got a lot left.
The Dala not used to make chalk paint as well?
They do make chalk paint as well. Okay, let's just roll this. Okay. Kom ons probeer.
Yes, I think.
Yeah, not have it too thin. Maybe this thickness.
But the thing is, how do you know where to cut it off now?
Now,
only when you take it out.
Yeah, maybe give it a bit of an edge. Oh, my phone doesn't fit. It's a big house with lots of children. That's nice. And then maybe cut it just with an edge.
There, yeah.
There's a slim mama.
And then I think you cut the edges off.
Yeah. You need to give this an edge because it's going to be a fridge magnet. So I'm not going to press it in too much this time. I think I overpressed it a bit. So let's just have a look. And that's not enough, eh? Okay, we'll just put it on again. And just press it a bit more here towards the end. How's yours working?
Fine.
Perfect. Yeah, maar as oulik met dit, nee.
It's just that you have to cut it out afterwards.
Yeah.
Because I think if you try and cut it out, that's when you...
There we go. So now I'll just cut it around the edges. And then I can dolly it up and paint it. Alright, so dit het gewerk. We're test driving everything today because we haven't had much
Here you
time
go.
to play with it. Okay, so this little beach house, we'll paint it nicely once it's dry.
I think the main thing with these are that you need a little bit more clay to make it a little bit thicker. Not so thin, then it breaks.
I'm not the best cutter though.
I never used to like playing with clay
But now you do.
because my hands, I don't like my hands to be so dirty.
Ouma bak aan koekies.
Ja, maar koekies bakken is iets anders. Jou hande is skoon.
So what have you guys been up to? What have you been doing? What have you been remaking? Remember, we've got a new challenge this week. Our challenge is for living room. So you need to dolly or pretty something, pick something out of your living room that you want to dolly. Even if you just want to put a ribbon around something, and post your photo on our page to share with other people some inspiration. I posted a photo of wardrobe that I just finished.
Beautiful.
So there's a photo of the wardrobe on the page as well. So yeah, we've started our living room now. I want to show you this one. So once it's dry, I will just paint it nicely and then it will look like a little beach house.
You know what works well with this? If you see this, your plastic mold, if you cut it off while you've still got your mold on,
Yeah.
that works better.
I now want to use one of these molds just to show you the difference. Someone posted something there about hojas.
Wat gogga?
We're working with air drying clay and molds today. We have posted a recipe of air drying clay recipe as well that you can use. So I just want to show you the difference between these molds. You can actually see it's much better quality than the others. You are going to find it difficult finding these in South Africa. I've managed to find 3. But any other mold will also do.
Is that not part of the cuttlebug?
No.
No.
Now I
Yeah,
need a
those-
big piece.
Let me just take this piece off. Let's see what happens here.
And the clay is rather soft, so you can really mold it. Dank you, Dick.
Let's see how it is.
As I said, this is amazing.
Yeah, beautiful.
So once again, I'm just putting my brush into the corn flour and dusting my mold. Please note, these won't replace embellishments. You will still use embellishments on your normal pieces. These are just if you want to do things where it's got like a 90-degree edge and you want to edge the clay around it.
But then you can also warm your embellishment up in hot water if you want to bake.
Bend it, yeah. Okay, so once it's dusted, it looks like this. I'm now going to put in the air drying clay. We're using the Dala air drying clay. We couldn't find white. We could only find terracotta. But there is a recipe on the page, on the group here. that I found online for air drying clay. So I want to have one long piece for this because it's quite a long scroll.
Maar hierdie is 'n huisie.
Ja, het nie baie mooi gekom.
Ja.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and then you just do it over again. You do have enough time to work with the clay, so it's not going to go dry on you immediately. So you do have time to roll it out again. You just need a bit of patience. Okay.
That's what you did with those edges on these, is it?
Yes. So this is when the clay has just gone in. You see it's quite thick still. I now need to smooth it at the top. So I just take a normal steel ruler and I start working it away. And the pieces that come off actually goes back into the bag. So you only use what you need, so that you don't have so much wastage. So you'll see here, there's actually quite a lot that I'm taking off. See there, I've done it. And this is still the rough patch left.
You're running out of time.
Only 10 past 7. Because we started 10 past. Okay, so you just take off all the pieces that you don't want. And you fill the cavities if there are open spaces a bit. So it's just a question of being very patient and working it into your mold. So what you'll see here is I actually took off too much there. So I'll just take a piece then and just work it back in. So yeah, we're doing a air drying clay mold that you can actually mold on things that's got a 90-degree angle. This is not going to be replacing embellishments. This is just another way of doing things. And also the clay tends to crack. So you don't want to use that on your furniture. You want to use the proper embellishments on your furniture. There's quite a lot of clay that I've used here. Huh? Too much. So I'm just smoothing the back edge now. Oh, I just pulled a piece up with my ruler. And all the clay I don't use goes back into the packet. And you close up that packet because it's air drying clay. The air's going to dry it out. And after you're done, if you've got clay left, what I tend to do is I take the clay, close it up nicely, and actually in my pocket I'll actually put a wet wipe so that it doesn't dry out completely. It actually pulls the moisture from the wet wipe. So here we go, we've done the whole thing. Now we're going to roll it out. Odette, I maybe need a second pair of hands here. When we did this at Odette, we actually both worked on one mold just to get the molds out. See, there's a piece there that I didn't get. This is going to come out. And then this little. So I just want to show you the basic idea. So the test is going to be, can we paint this? And can we paint it a lighter color? We would only know that once
Tomorrow morning.
it's dry. But now this gives you the ability, the clay gives you the ability to actually work it around your box like so. So if you want something to have like a 90-degree bend, you'll just use the clay. Okay. It's actually come out very nice.
Yes.
I'll work it in here
So we
somewhere.
put it in the sun and then we paint it tomorrow.
Yeah, but I would like to bend it into something like, bend it around something. Like a nice bottle, for instance. Will look nice around a bottle. I don't want to break it now. We're going to bend it around something. We'll find something to bend it around. Okay. So something else I wanted to show you is these small little molds. We got this at the chocolate den in Edenvale. Also silicone mold. But I'm going to move this here.
Need some more?
We're going to get langston. Once again, you take your mold, you take your corn flour, you work it into your mold, into all the little crevices, and you tap it down. So you'll have something like that. And then you take your clay. Don't take too much now.
Well, you need 2 little holes.
Yes. And you make your clay in a little ball like this, and you work it into your mold. Whoops, sorry. So you work it into your mold like that, and then you take off all the excess.
Do you need another ball?
No, I'm actually getting rid of some because it's just too much. So you can see I'm actually taking it away. So it should look something like that. And now, hi Yankee. Now you just take out your clay. It's a silicone mold, so it pops out fairly easy. Just don't want to damage it now. And this is your little flower. So the white will just brush off that corn flour. It just helps you with your mold that it doesn't get stuck in your mold.
Here's the other one, I'm doing it.
Okay. I want to do another piece of this. And this is just a bas relief mold from Redesigns. So I've just painted some corn flour in there. And I roll my clay and I press it into my mold. And all the excess, oh, that one came out nice. This is the, it looks like a little succulent, doesn't it?
Yes.
So we have posted a air drying clay recipe on the comments. So if you want to make your own and you don't have access to,
Yeah,
Wow,
my
it's just-
blommetjie.
you don't have access to air drying clay, then you're welcome to try your own. We haven't tried the recipe yet, but you're welcome to try your own. That recipe is for a white air drying clay, so it will give you this effect. This is done with white, these big flowers. So, just once again, this doesn't replace embellishments. It's just another alternative if you want something to bend with a 90-degree angle. So I'm just taking all the excess Excess.
Daai tafeltjie is nog nie geseël nie, hoor.
Word te skoon.
So once you've taken off all the extra clay, you should get something like that. You see it's nice and flat and smooth. So now we get to the unmolding. So I put it down and I actually roll my mold out. And it came out very nice. And this now gives you the flexibility to actually wrap it around your piece while it's still wet, so it can make that bend. You see? So the trick's going to be, can we paint this a light color? That's going to be our next test. So yeah, we would like to see your comments on this. It's a total different way of doing decorations on round things or square things. So let us know. Your challenge for this week is the living room challenge. So pick something in your living room that you want to redo or re-pretty, even if it is just to put a ribbon around it or to change a light switch cover. So yeah, if you want to do something, just post the pictures on our page. We would like you to engage of the inspiration process of uplifting other people as well. So post your pictures on the page, and yeah, the challenge closes at Friday at 5 o'clock. I have started with mine. You would see the wardrobe pictures are already on the page. So yeah, have a look and give us your ideas and inputs, even if it's just putting a ribbon around something. So yeah, share with us. Then, do you want to say something more to the people?
No, it was lovely. I enjoyed it.
Okay, have you enjoyed this one?
Have a nice
Bye-bye.
evening.
Keep well.